Hello friends. Have you ever met someone who seems like they were born for strategy, but also knows how to crack a joke right when the room needs it most? Someone who appears serious on the outside but holds a heart full of loyalty, complexity, and hidden ambition. Meet the unique blend of Capricorn, born in the year of the rooster. This personality combo doesn't just follow the rules, they refine them. They're the CEOs in training from childhood, the ones whose planners are color-coded, and who somehow look sharp even in sweatpants. But don't be fooled by their professional vibe, these people are layered. And today, we're peeling those layers back. Let's dive into who these enigmatic people really are, especially when it comes to love, marriage, sex, friendship, business, dark sides, and life goals. Love. Capricorn roosters don't fall in love, they construct it. Love, for them, isn't a chaotic rush of feelings. It's a purposeful journey filled with checkpoints, red flags, and cautious green lights. They approach it like they would a long-term investment, only after serious evaluation. Before they give their heart, they give their mind, analyzing compatibility, emotional patterns, and shared values. Questions swirl in their head early on, like, does this person challenge me in the right ways? Do they bring emotional stability into my life or chaos? Can we build something with real structure, not just sparks and chemistry? And perhaps the biggest one, will this connection grow or decay over time? Instant chemistry might intrigue them, but it won't win them over. Capricorn roosters are drawn to people with ambition and personal depth. Someone who knows what they want, isn't afraid of hard work, and respects their own emotional boundaries. Emotional intelligence is non-negotiable. They value self-awareness more than surface charm, and they have little patience for emotional immaturity. People who are always seeking validation or attention will quickly find themselves kept at arm's length. Their affection is rarely loud or theatrical. You probably won't catch a Capricorn rooster planning a flash mob proposal or shouting their love from a rooftop. But what you will get is something more meaningful. A quiet, consistent presence that makes you feel secure without even trying. Their romantic gestures tend to be deeply personal. They'll memorize your favorite wine, text you a book recommendation that reminds them of your conversations, or show up at your door when you didn't even realize you needed support. They love by noticing the unnoticed, fixing what's broken, and protecting what matters. Once they commit like a general swearing an oath. Their love is unwavering, intense, and deeply rooted in loyalty. But don't expect fireworks, they prefer slow-burning candles. They're incredibly protective of the people they love and often show it through actions more than words. They'll encourage your dreams, help you think through your problems, and challenge you to become your best self. And while they may not be overly expressive with compliments or romantic flair, they never stop showing up, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. But breaking through that initial emotional armor takes patience. Capricorn roosters don't reveal their hearts easily. They've likely been through emotional trials that made them wary of false promises and fleeting passion. In the early stages, you might feel like they're always holding something back, because they are. They're measuring your sincerity. They're watching to see if your character holds under pressure. They don't want to be someone's experiment or escape. They want to be someone's real partner, with equal parts love and loyalty. And here's the twist that surprises many. Beneath all that control and emotional discipline lies a romantic who craves deep connection. Once you've earned their trust, their emotional world opens up like spring after a long winter. They'll start to share their fears, dreams, and raw truths. Their affection becomes warmer, more frequent, and incredibly sincere. They'll plan meaningful experiences, surprise you with thoughtful gifts, and even begin to express their love more openly. But always in a way that feels grounded, not showy, not artificial. So, if you're looking for love that's dramatic, spontaneous, and filled with unpredictable highs and lows, a Capricorn rooster might not be your match. But if you want someone who will weather every storm with you, grow beside you, and make love feel like the safest place on earth, then there is no better heart to be held by. Because when they love not just with emotion, but with honor. And in a world full of fleeting feelings, that's a love worth waiting for. Marriage. Marriage to a Capricorn Rooster is not a spontaneous yes in the heat of the moment. It's a decision backed by calculation, caution, and deep soul searching. For them, marriage is not merely a social norm or a romantic tradition. It's a blueprint for life, a strategic alliance, a spiritual pact disguised in legal terms. They don't see it as the finish line of love, but rather the beginning of a lifelong construction project. And trust me, they're not using duct tape and hope to hold it all together. They're drawing blueprints, building strong foundations, and reinforcing emotional beams with years of thoughtful planning and inner conviction. Before a Capricorn Rooster says, "I do," they've already gone through an exhaustive checklist in their mind: financial compatibility, long-term values, emotional intelligence, conflict resolution skills, even health habits. They think about legacy, about the kind of future they want to build with another person. They're not the type to marry on impulse or because of fleeting attraction. For them, it's about alignment of values, goals, life direction, and personal growth trajectories. If something doesn't line up, they won't force it, no matter how intense the chemistry might be. Love alone isn't enough for them. Compatibility and mutual purpose, that's what seals the deal. Inside a Capricorn Rooster marriage, structure is everything. These individuals thrive on clear communication, defined roles, and forward momentum. They believe in joint calendars, shared savings accounts, and weekly check-ins to ensure everything is still aligned. That doesn't mean they're boring, it just means they take responsibility seriously. They want to co-create a life where dreams become tangible goals, where the relationship matures and strengthens year after year. They don't just want to love their partner, they want to build something meaningful with them. And while this structure might sound rigid, there's a softer layer underneath. Capricorn Roosters crave emotional depth, but they often express it quietly. Within the sanctity of marriage, they finally allow themselves to be vulnerable, to show the parts of themselves that they guard from the world. They may be slow to express their feelings with words, but they speak volumes through action, small daily rituals, acts of service, subtle but intentional intimacy. Their love is not loud, but it is constant. And that constancy is a gift few people ever get to experience. Of course, their intense commitment to the plan can be a double-edged sword. These individuals often wrestle with perfectionism, and in marriage, that can translate to micromanaging or fear of deviation from the path. When life throws unexpected twists, a job loss, a health scare, a midlife crisis, they may initially resist change or blame themselves for failing to foresee it. Their instinct is to fix things immediately, which sometimes means they struggle to sit in uncertainty or accept emotional messiness. They might retreat emotionally, believing it's their responsibility to quietly carry the burden. But here's the truth: their greatest strength is not in avoiding the fall, but in their ability to get up, rebuild, and recommit again and again. They marry best with partners who appreciate their depth and integrity but also remind them that life doesn't have to be one long to-do list. A little lightness goes a long way in their world. When paired with someone spontaneous, playful, or emotionally expressive, Capricorn Roosters begin to soften. They laugh more, worry less, they loosen the tie, not just on their neck, but on their soul. This kind of balance doesn't dilute their commitment, it enriches it. A marriage like that becomes not just a stable partnership, but a beautiful dance between discipline and freedom, vision and presence. In truth, Capricorn Roosters don't just want to be married, they want to be devoted. They long to be someone's rock, someone's safe place, someone's home. And in return, they ask for respect, trust, and a partner who shows up every day, ready to do the work of love. They aren't afraid of tough conversations. They won't shy away from the ugly days. They may falter, but they'll never quit easily. Because to them, marriage isn't disposable. It's sacred, it's serious, it's forever. So if you find yourself in the heart of a Capricorn Rooster, know this: they won't promise the moon unless they're already building the rocket. They'll never say, forever, unless they mean to prove it every single day. With them, marriage isn't a gamble. It's a masterpiece in progress, and you, their chosen co-architect. Sex. Capricorn roosters might not walk into a room radiating sexual energy, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. Oh, it's there. It's just housed in quiet confidence and self-control rather than flashy moves or constant flirting. They are masters of restraint on the surface, projecting a calm, disciplined energy that may even seem aloof at first. But underneath that composed exterior, a well of passion that runs deep, smoldering like embers waiting for the right breath of air to ignite into full flame. These are people who don't give themselves easily, but when they do, they give completely. Sex, for the Capricorn rooster, isn't just a physical act. It's a deeply layered experience that reflects their emotional security and spiritual commitment. They're not here for mindless encounters or casual thrills. What they crave is connection. They want to understand your body the way they study your mind, slowly, attentively, respectfully. Their sensuality is grounded, purposeful, and generous. They're not chasing fantasy, they're building intimacy. It's less about seduction and more about synchronization. To them, great sex begins long before anyone takes their clothes off. It starts in trust, in subtle glances, in conversations where real emotion is shared. Once they feel safe with someone, and safety is key, their sensual side unfolds with stunning intensity. The reserved persona drops away, and what's revealed is someone remarkably present, deeply attuned to their partner, and surprisingly open to exploration. Their lovemaking is precise, attentive, and deeply satisfying, not because they follow a script, but because they listen. They notice, they adapt, they aim to make each experience meaningful, something that resonates emotionally as well as physically. It's less about the performance and more about the energy being exchanged. For them, true eroticism lies in intention. Capricorn roosters are often underestimated when it comes to their willingness to explore. Because they seem so practical, people assume they're conservative in the bedroom. But behind closed doors, they can be incredibly adventurous, though never just for the sake of novelty. They like to know the why behind the fantasy, the emotion behind the desire. If something has depth or symbolic value, they're far more likely to engage in it. In fact, their most powerful erotic moments often come when they feel emotionally fused with their partner, when sex becomes a language, a form of emotional communication. One of their unique strengths is their emotional endurance. They aren't here for quick gratification, they thrive on prolonged connection. Sex with them often feels timeless. They're deliberate, they know when to be gentle, when to be dominant, when to hold back, and when to fully surrender. They move with purpose but are never mechanical. Every movement feels personal, every touch feels earned, and while they may not always express desire in words, their bodies will tell you everything you need to know. They love to make their partner feel desired, not through flashy gestures, but through sustained attention, eye contact, and the kind of intimacy that makes you feel truly seen. But it's not just about what happens in the bedroom. Capricorn roosters build sensuality throughout the entire relationship. They understand the importance of small, physical gestures, touching the small of your back as you walk through a door, brushing hair away from your face while you're talking, pressing a kiss to your forehead just because they noticed you needed one. This consistency creates a deep physical trust, which in turn makes sex feel like a natural extension of emotional closeness. Their sensuality isn't turned on and off. It's always there, flowing just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to deepen. If you're in a sexual relationship with a Capricorn rooster, don't expect fireworks on the first night. Expect a slow build, one that starts with curiosity, grows through mutual respect, and blossoms into something beautifully raw. They aren't looking for conquest. They're looking for mutual revelation. They want to explore you, your needs, your rhythm, your desires, while slowly revealing theirs. And if you approach them with honesty, openness, and patience, what you'll unlock isn't just sexual satisfaction. It's a kind of trust-bound ecstasy that goes beyond the physical. With them, sex isn't about escape. It's about arrival. Friendship. To a Capricorn rooster, friendship is not a popularity contest, it's a sacred alliance. These individuals don't collect people the way others might collect social media followers or party invites. They aren't drawn to superficial charm or fleeting connections. Instead, they seek out friendships that are built on loyalty, depth, and unwavering integrity. If you peek into their social circle, you'll likely find it small, intentional, and made up of people who have proven themselves over time. These are not fair-weather friends, they're battle-tested, emotionally intelligent allies who have shown that they can be counted on when life gets messy. In fact, Capricorn roosters often value quality over quantity to the extreme. They might have just 2 or 3 people they really let in, but those bonds run deep. When they choose you as a friend, it's not a casual decision. It means they've watched how you treat others, how you react under pressure, and how consistent you are when no one's watching. They're highly selective because their emotional bandwidth is limited and precious. They don't invest it in people who gossip, flake out, or treat relationships like temporary shelters. Their version of friendship is long-term, sometimes for life, and that's why they guard it so carefully. They will be warm, generous, and quietly hilarious with those they trust, but trust, for them, is earned, not assumed. In friendship, Capricorn roosters are the ultimate quiet supporters. They may not flood your inbox with heart emojis or text you every 5 minutes, but they will show up when it counts, often in ways that matter more than words ever could. Need a ride to the airport at dawn? They're there. Lost your job and don't know where to turn? They're connecting you to someone in their network. Feeling heartbroken and raw? They're at your door with your favorite takeout and no need for small talk. Their loyalty is quiet, consistent, and incredibly grounding. You'll never have to wonder where you stand with them, because they'll prove it through action, again and again. They're not drawn to crowds, and most definitely not to social scenes built around shallow interaction. You probably won't find them at every party or group hangout, and they'll likely skip that brunch where everyone's pretending to be happy for the sake of photos. Capricorn roosters value genuine connection, not optics. When they do socialize, it's with people who make them feel safe, inspired, or intellectually engaged. They would rather sit with one true friend and talk about life, purpose, or even shared frustrations, than make small talk with 20 acquaintances. That said, their friendships are not always the easiest to maintain, at least not for people who expect constant validation or frequent contact. Capricorn roosters can be emotionally reserved, incredibly busy, and hyper-focused on personal or professional goals. They may disappear for stretches, go quiet, or forget a birthday, not out of carelessness, but because their mind is often consumed by responsibility. But when you reach out, they respond with warmth and sincerity. When you ask for help, they give more than you'd ever expect. If you can understand and accept their rhythms, you'll find a friend who would walk through fire for you, and probably help you build a fireproof bridge while they're at it. One of the most underrated things about Capricorn roosters in friendship is their sense of humor. It's dry, sharp, and often masked beneath a serious face, but when it comes out, it's golden. They love friends who can match their sarcasm, challenge their ideas respectfully, and offer emotional insight without being dramatic. They respect resilience and self-awareness. Their closest friends are often people who've faced challenges of their own and emerged wiser, not bitter. They find comfort in kindred spirits, those who don't sugarcoat life, but still manage to laugh through it. So if you're in a Capricorn rooster's inner circle, consider yourself truly chosen. Not only will they root for you silently behind the scenes, they'll also tell you the truth when no one else will, stand by you when the crowd disappears, and offer you the kind of friendship that doesn't fade with time. They don't need attention, credit, or drama. Just loyalty, respect, and a bond that means something. With a Capricorn rooster, friendship isn't loud, but it's unbreakable. Business. Capricorn roosters aren't just in business, they embody it. They're the rare combination of tireless worker, sharp strategist, and long-range visionary. These individuals come into the world wired for structure, achievement, and intelligent risk-taking. From a young age, they're the ones organizing lemonade stands with cost breakdowns or pitching their first app idea before they've finished high school. Business isn't a career path for them. It's a mindset, a rhythm, and in many ways, a form of personal expression. Whether they're leading a team, starting a company, or mastering a trade, they bring the same core energy to the table: meticulous preparation, relentless ambition, and a refusal to settle for mediocrity. What sets them apart isn't just that they work hard, it's that they work smart. Capricorn roosters are natural analysts. They see patterns others overlook, spot inefficiencies like hawks, and anticipate problems before they become visible to the average eye. Every move is intentional. They're the kind of people who have 10-year plans backed by research, backup plans for every scenario, and color-coded calendars that would impress a military commander. While others might leap blindly into ventures driven by emotion or hype, the Capricorn rooster calculates the trajectory and prepares for every angle. They're in it to win, but they're also in it to last. In leadership roles, they shine with quiet power. They're not interested in being the loudest voice in the room, they'd rather be the most respected one. Their teams often admire them for their fairness, consistency, and strong moral compass. They lead by example, rarely asking others to do what they wouldn't do themselves. And though they're often perceived as serious or demanding, their expectations are almost always matched by their own output. If they expect excellence, it's because they deliver it every single time. Entrepreneurship is a particularly fertile ground for the Capricorn rooster, especially when they can combine their discipline with a personal passion. These are the founders who stay up researching market trends until 2 a.m., then wake up at 6 to make investor calls. They're not just interested in turning a profit, they want to create something that lasts. Something that matters, whether it's a fashion label, tech startup, consulting firm, or design studio. They'll build it from the ground up with exacting precision and long-term sustainability in mind. They're not swayed by shiny distractions or quick trends, they're building empires, not chasing waves. That said, their strength can also become their greatest vulnerability. Capricorn roosters have a tendency to tie their self-worth to their productivity. They don't just want to succeed, they need to. Failure isn't just a setback for them, it can feel like a personal collapse. This all-or-nothing mindset drives them to push harder, stay later, and sacrifice more. It's common for them to slip into overwork without even realizing it, until they hit a wall, mentally, physically, or emotionally. They may also struggle to delegate, believing no one else will meet their standards, and that perfection can only be achieved through total control. This is why supportive partnerships, both in business and in life, are essential to their balance. The Capricorn rooster thrives when surrounded by people who help them remember that rest is productive too. Colleagues or co-founders who bring levity, flexibility, and a touch of chaos can actually be the best complement to their order-driven style. The right partnership allows them to loosen their grip without losing their vision, to breathe without breaking focus. When they trust someone enough to share the load, their productivity doesn't diminish, it expands, because they finally stop running every department alone. Interestingly, Capricorn roosters often bring a unique style to their ventures. Thanks to the rooster's natural flair and attention to aesthetics, they're not just practical, they're also refined. Their ideas don't just function well, they look good too. They care about presentation, branding, and the sensory experience of whatever they're offering, whether it's a pitch deck, product design, or office environment. This fusion of Capricorn's grounded work ethic with the rooster's artistic instincts gives them a serious edge in industries that reward both substance and style. People trust them not only because they're competent, but because everything they touch has polish and purpose. Ultimately, business for a Capricorn rooster is more than a career, it's a vehicle for transformation. It's how they create stability, express vision, earn respect, and leave a legacy. Their drive doesn't come from ego, it comes from a desire to build something that reflects their integrity and intelligence. They aren't chasing applause, they're chasing mastery. And when they get it right, when all their planning, perseverance, and passion align, you're not just witnessing success. You're witnessing a legacy in motion. An empire with structure, soul, and staying power. Dark sides. Every fortress has its cracks, and every strength casts a shadow, and with Capricorn roosters, those shadows are as sharp and structured as their ambitions. These individuals are powerhouses of discipline, resilience, and drive, but that relentless forward motion comes at a cost. Their greatest asset, their tireless pursuit of excellence, can easily tip into obsession. The same mind that builds empires can also build cages. The very drive that propels them to the top can isolate them, stress them, and distort their sense of self-worth. To understand the Capricorn Rooster fully, you have to step inside those shadows, because that's where their complexity, and their humanity, truly lives. Their ambition, which often appears admirable and even inspiring, can become a kind of addiction. Capricorn roosters are wired to achieve, but when unchecked, this compulsion leads to overwork, sleep deprivation, and emotional burnout. They may find themselves chasing goals they no longer believe in, simply because quitting would feel like failure. They have a deeply ingrained fear of being seen as mediocre, so they double down, triple down, sacrificing health, relationships, and sometimes even joy for the sake of one more rung on the ladder. They rarely admit exhaustion. Instead, they wear their stress like a badge of honor, until it breaks them from the inside out. One of their most misunderstood traits is their tendency toward hypercriticism. Capricorn roosters hold themselves to an almost impossible standard, and unfortunately, they often extend that same standard to others. In their quest for efficiency and excellence, they can become harsh judges, frustrated by what they see as laziness, incompetence, or emotional messiness in those around them. Their tone can turn cutting. Their patience, thin. They're not trying to be cruel. They genuinely believe that pushing harder is the only way to grow. But their words can wound, especially when directed at people who need understanding, not discipline. Their inner monologue is often even worse, self-critical to the point of emotional sabotage. Emotional vulnerability is a particularly difficult terrain for Capricorn roosters. These are people who equate control with safety, and to them, emotions often feel like chaos, unpredictable, unmanageable, and potentially dangerous. They're not heartless, they're guarded. They may struggle to cry, admit weakness, or even say the words, "I need help." Their default setting in a crisis is to fix the problem, not talk about how they feel about it. And when others try to break through those emotional walls, they may react defensively, shutting down or deflecting with sarcasm or logic. The truth is, their emotional world runs deep, but access is restricted. Vulnerability, to them, feels like standing naked in a snowstorm. Another dark thread in the Capricorn rooster psyche is their stubbornness, especially when pride is involved. These individuals often invest deeply into plans, relationships, or paths that no longer serve them, simply because walking away feels like admitting defeat. They'll throw more time, energy, and resources into a sinking ship rather than face the shame of starting over. It's not always about ego. It's often about fear that everything they've worked for will be meaningless if they change course. This rigidity can lead to paralysis, poor decision-making, or even isolation. They hold on tight, even when it hurts, because letting go feels too vulnerable. Image consciousness is another trap they can fall into, especially in moments of insecurity. Capricorn roosters care deeply about how they're perceived, professionally, socially, even romantically. When they feel unstable inside, they may compensate by over-curating their outer world. The polished appearance, the perfect resume, the Instagrammable success story, but underneath, they might be struggling with self-doubt, anxiety, or imposter syndrome. Instead of showing that struggle, they hide it behind perfection. The danger here isn't just dishonesty with others, it's dishonesty with themselves. They start to believe the mask is safer than the face beneath it. And yes, when pushed too far, Capricorn roosters can become cold or dismissive, especially toward people who don't meet their internal standards of value or drive. They may distance themselves from emotional people, dreamers, or anyone they perceive as unserious. It's not because they don't care, it's because they struggle to connect with energies that feel scattered, inconsistent, or inefficient. But in doing so, they sometimes cut themselves off from the very relationships that could teach them softness, vulnerability, and presence. They don't mean to be cruel, they're just afraid that letting in the messiness will derail the mission. But here's where the silver lining begins to shine. Capricorn roosters, for all their shadows, are usually painfully aware of their flaws. They may not always talk about them, but they see them. They reflect constantly. They know when they've been too harsh, too controlling, too closed off. And deep down, many of them are quietly working to soften the edges. They read the self-help books. They seek mentors. They journal at 2 a.m. after a hard conversation. Self-awareness is the first battle, and they've already won that one. The next challenge is learning to let go, to allow themselves to rest, to fail without shame, to ask for help without guilt, to let people in, even when their inner voice says it's safer to stand alone. It's not easy, but the Capricorn Rooster is nothing if not resilient. With time, maturity, and the right emotional support, they can turn those shadows into depth, into wisdom, into balance. Because their greatest growth doesn't come from another success, but from finally understanding that being human is not a flaw. It's the most important strength of all. Life goals. Capricorn Roosters don't just set goals, they engineer them. While others dream in flashes of inspiration, Capricorn Roosters dream in systems, timelines, and strategic phases. For them, a life goal isn't just a vision board. It's a living, breathing project plan with Gantt charts, contingency backups, and carefully weighed metrics for success. They're not content with vague aspirations like, be happy, or, make money. They want something real, measurable, lasting, whether it's launching a business, writing a definitive book in their field, establishing a foundation, or creating a legacy within their family. They pursue goals that leave a mark, not just on their lives, but on the world around them. From an early age, these individuals show a unique awareness of time and responsibility. While their peers are still figuring out what they want for lunch, Capricorn Roosters are already outlining 5-year plans. This isn't just because they're ambitious, it's because they genuinely feel called to build something of value. Their sense of purpose runs deep. They crave significance, not spotlight. Their ultimate goal is to look back one day and know that what they created didn't just serve them, but outlived them. That it helped someone, taught something, changed a little corner of the world. They want their work, whatever form it takes, to matter. But here's the thing, their goals aren't just about achievement, they're about alignment. Capricorn Roosters have a strong internal compass. They won't pursue something that compromises their ethics, waters down their standards, or feels hollow at its core. Success without substance doesn't satisfy them. They want to build lives and legacies that are consistent with their personal principles. They ask questions like, does this represent who I am? Will this contribute something of value? Will this bring long-term stability? They are motivated not by applause, but by the quiet assurance that they're walking their talk. Their reward is the dignity of a job well done, and the knowledge that it stands on real foundations. Because they are so process-driven, they often appear to outsiders as ultra-organized, maybe even rigid or overly serious. Their lives can seem like a series of checkboxes: degree, promotion, house, investment, marriage, next project. But to them, that structure isn't a trap, it's a safety net. It's how they manage chaos, stay focused, and minimize risk. Their sense of control over their future gives them peace of mind. While others chase spontaneity, they chase certainty. And for a Capricorn Rooster, there's a deep emotional satisfaction in the discipline it takes to turn a dream into a detailed action plan, and then to execute that plan, day by day, until the results appear. Of course, their relationship with goals is not without its challenges. Capricorn Roosters can be so focused on the finish line that they forget to breathe along the way. They often delay joy, sacrifice rest, or push away relationships, all in the name of getting there. But there is a moving target, and if they're not careful, they may look up one day and realize they forgot to enjoy the journey. That's why emotional growth is just as important for them as career or financial success. Learning to pause, to reflect, to celebrate small wins, to embrace imperfection, is often one of the greatest goals they'll face, and one of the hardest to reach. When they do reach a milestone, don't expect fireworks or viral social media posts. Capricorn Roosters are understated in their celebration style. They don't need external validation, they know what it took to get there. Their victory laps are private, often elegant, and always intentional. They might treat themselves to a solo trip, upgrade their workspace with a handcrafted desk, or indulge in a quietly luxurious gift, a symbol of accomplishment that speaks only to them. And then, they reset the timeline, start the next blueprint, look toward the next mountain, not because they're never satisfied, but because evolution is embedded in their DNA. Their goals often span multiple domains: career, community, family, legacy. They want a business and a family they're proud of, a meaningful body of work and a home that feels like a sanctuary. They don't believe in choosing between success and stability. They aim for both and then raise the bar. Capricorn roosters don't just build for themselves, they build for the people they love and the generations that follow. Whether it's passing down wisdom, creating financial security, or simply modeling integrity, they see life as a bridge between past and future. Their mission isn't just to succeed, it's to leave something better behind. In the end, a Capricorn rooster's life is a masterclass in discipline, intention, and long-term impact. They don't need to be the loudest, fastest, or most followed. They need to be true to themselves, to their purpose, and to the work they were meant to do. Their goals are big because their vision is deep. They're not climbing just to climb. They're climbing to build, and with every steady step, every patient year, they're not just creating success, they're crafting a legacy. One blueprint at a time. Final thought. The Capricorn rooster is one of the most quietly captivating personality combinations in the entire zodiac. They are walking contradictions, layered and enigmatic, blending ancient earth-born discipline with bold, bright flashes of ambition and flair. On one hand, they live by rules, routines, and deeply rooted traditions, yet on the other, they're unafraid to challenge outdated norms when it stands in the way of progress. They are the type to build empires on spreadsheets and soul. They'll wear a tailored suit with an artist's heart underneath. This duality doesn't confuse them, it drives them. They understand the world isn't black or white, and they're comfortable operating in the complex shade of gray where real power resides. When it comes to relationships, romantic or otherwise, the Capricorn rooster brings a rare blend of intensity and caution. They want deep connection, but they're not going to leap without a net. They test people, not to play games, but to protect their own sacred inner world. Love, to them, must be earned and maintained with effort, not assumed or expected. And when they do finally let someone in, it's not a casual gesture, it's a life-altering act of trust. They love slowly, deliberately, and forever. They give what they rarely receive, unshakable loyalty, often hidden behind layers of logic and cool composure. In friendships and partnerships, they are selective to a fault. They can be distant at first glance, quiet, observant, hard to read. But beneath that guarded silence lies one of the most solid forms of support anyone could ask for. They don't do performative loyalty, they do the real thing. If you're in their inner circle, you'll be amazed by the way they show up for you, time after time, in ways that are so specific, thoughtful, and often unspoken. They may not always say, "I love you," but they'll make sure your car is winterized, your rent is covered in a crisis, or your dreams are funded when no one else believed in them. Professionally, they're powerhouses in disguise. Capricorn roosters don't need a spotlight to shine, they let their results do the talking. They move through the world with a sense of internal direction that's rare and unwavering. They're not easily swayed by trends or noise. They know what they want, and they work for it with a quiet but unstoppable intensity. They don't build overnight empires. They build fortresses, slowly, smartly, and with intention behind every brick. And they don't just build for themselves, they build for others too. Legacy matters to them, not in a showy, egotistical way, but in a way that speaks to their need for impact and permanence. But for all their brilliance and capability, they carry burdens most people never see. They struggle with vulnerability, often equating it with weakness. They hold themselves to such high standards that failure can feel like personal betrayal. They don't cry in public, they don't scream when things fall apart, they internalize. Quietly, intensely, and it's in these private battles that their truest strength lies. They rise, not because it's easy, but because they refuse to let life break their spirit. They endure, adapt, and keep moving forward, no matter how heavy the weight becomes. That's their superpower, quiet resilience in a noisy world. What makes them truly unforgettable, though, is their integrity. In a culture obsessed with speed and shortcuts, the Capricorn Rooster still believes in doing things the right way. They believe in showing up, staying late, keeping promises, building trust, and earning every ounce of success. They don't cheat, and they don't fake. And while that may not win them the loudest applause, it earns them the deepest kind of respect, the kind that lasts long after trends fade and attention shifts. They are rooted in something real, something timeless. So if you are a Capricorn Rooster, know this: the world may not always understand your methods or your mindset. You may be underestimated at first glance, overlooked in rooms full of louder voices. But that's okay, because the right people will see you, not for your volume, but for your value. The strength of your character, the weight of your word, the precision of your purpose. Keep building, keep believing, keep trusting that your quiet greatness is needed now more than ever. And if you love a Capricorn Rooster, remember this truth: you are loving someone who may never fully reveal their depths, but who will dedicate their life to protecting yours. Be patient with their walls, but don't doubt their devotion. They may not always say it, but they'll prove it, in the way they look at you when they think no one's watching, in the way they remember the little details, in the way they never let go when things get hard. You won't always hear the love, but you'll feel it, in every corner of your life they touch. Enjoyed this deep dive? You know what to do. Tap that like button, subscribe for more character explorations, and don't forget to check the description for additional insights, recommended videos, and behind-the-scenes content. Stay curious, and remember, astrology and personality are tools, not limitations. Let them guide your understanding, not define your worth.